Uh, I muted my palette. Oh, it's right here. Um, Thank you for joining me on today's adventure, painting adventure, my little art diary that I like to do every day. And if you like listening to me and like listening to what I talk about and all this, you can support me by just doing something very simple and clicking on the link that's in the description that goes to my website, schmidtart.com. Take a look around and tell me what you like, what you don't like, what you think you'd like to see of more. I got really cool design shirts, prints of most of my work, a lot of the originals on there. Not everything, because I'm not ready to sell everything yet, and also I haven't gotten everything scanned in for prints. But I got a lot of cool stuff there. Uh, so that's my little thing, little spiely I gotta say, because this is what I'm going to be doing for a living for the rest of my life probably. And so I'm getting started on letting people know what I have to offer. I also do commissions. If you want to do that, um, put a comment in and I'll get in contact with you somehow. But anyways, let's get back. Let's get to it. Today, been talking with a friend about the idea of self-awareness. And if I remember correctly, there was I can't remember who conducted the study, or if it really can be called a study, um, of the idea that how many people are self-aware. And I think it was in either 2014 or 2016, one of those even numbers, I think. They conducted, well, whatever, trying to find out how many people are self-aware. And according to the research they did, I can't remember what the sample size was, but they found out, or they surmised that about 90% of people that think they are self-aware or answer that they are self-aware were in fact not self-aware. And me and him were talking back and forth on this subject of what constitutes self-awareness. Why are some people seemingly self-aware and others not? And to preface this, we don't think that that means someone is stupid. One of the things that he mentioned like very early on, he's like, I don't think people are stupid because I know some people that are extremely brilliant people, have a higher intellect than I do, but yet are still not self-aware. And the idea of intelligence and self-awareness aren't necessarily a one-to-one correlation. So, what is self-awareness? We were talking back, we were throwing ideas back and forth. One of the ones that I was talking about is it seems to be that self-awareness, in order to have self-awareness, you have to be aware of the situation that you're in, your environment. You have to be aware of your environment, but also be aware of your place in the environment, but also have an essence of, or essentially have the ability to almost self-doubt. You have to be able to rethink what you already know, because if you think that you know everything, or if you work solely on premises that you've already learned by like rote memorization, you cannot become self-aware because you cannot take a step back and rethink what you are doing. You cannot think of, well, why am I doing this? Because you won't doubt anything, because you think, I know exactly why I'm doing this. You'll have extreme confidence, even in incompetence. And you might be a very competent person, but still be very unself-aware, because since you are So competent, you don't question yourself. So you have to have an element of self-questioning. And then he brought up the idea that um, it also has to do with the idea of parroting. The whole reason that we started talking about self-awareness is we were talking about how birds um, can almost have the illusion that like we think that they are thinking or understanding something, but we don't. We don't have a way of testing that or really knowing at the moment. If because we were talking about animal intelligence, so they can like an AI, they can mimic um, human speech and human speech patterns and recognition, but we don't know if they have understanding of the parts of the thing necessarily. And this is just in our cursory, we're just shit talking at work, um, going back and forth on all these ideas as we're bumping into each other throughout the day. And one of the things that I thought was very fascinating was that idea of parroting without understanding. To be self-aware, you have to have an understanding of yourself in your situation, or have an understanding of the situation itself. Whereas if you're you can be an intelligent person and know things by rote memorization. Like the example that he and I discussed was using like mathematics. A child can either memorize the times tables 1 through 12 or something like that, um, or they can have an understanding of how multiplication works. People that are unself-aware, they rely purely on rote memorization. So the minute that you ask them, well, say they learned 1 through 12, the times tables, but you um, pop in, say, what is 12 times 13? They don't have an understanding of mathematics in order to say that it's 156. Yeah, 156. Because they don't know how mathematics works. All they know is just 1 times 1 equals 1, 1 times 2 equals 2, 1 times 3 equals 3, that type of memorization. They don't have an understanding of, since I started, like my alarm's already going off, but they don't have an understanding of the underpinnings of it. And that's one of the things that is a marker of self-awareness, is the ability to quantify what's happening. So let's take a person that's self-aware versus unself-aware. And we're going to put them in the same situation. Two people are applying for a park ranger job at the national parks. I'm not going to go into like how they got to that, and you ask one person, why do you want to become a park ranger? And they think, because I like being outside. And that's why they want to do it. Or I like being around animals. I want to help animals. And if you ask them beyond that, well, why do you want to be outside? Why do you want to help animals? Oh, my thing's freezing. Well, I've just always liked animals. I've always liked being outside. That's the unself-aware person. The person that is self-aware, they ask them the same question: why do you want to be a park ranger? I like being outside, and I like um, playing with that or helping animals. Then you ask the person the second question: why do you want to help animals? Why do you want to be be outside? Well, when I was a child, I had the experience of being outside and noticed the beauty of nature, and I thought to myself, I want to help preserve this, and it influenced me in certain ways. And they'll bring up different experiences throughout their life that led them to this decision. They'll understand the underpinnings of what brought them to this. Or I like animals because I feel a connection with them, due to this experience when I was a child. That when I was sick, my dog used to always come up to me and showed me love, and that really resonated with me. And I realized that animals also have consciousness, and that I should do what I can in order to protect them. That is a self-aware person. They know about themselves. They have an understanding of themselves, not just the by rote schema of I like this because I like this, or I'm doing this because I'm doing this. They understand they understand causal relationships rather than deep causal relationships that trigger certain. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter for that part. It should pop up. But deep causal relationships that drive their actions. They understand what is within them that drives their actions rather than just the desire to get the actions done. This just leaves some of the ideas that we're tossing back and forth. Are we scientists? No. Are we that smart? No. But this is just something that has been on my mind today, is the idea of, is self-awareness something that is by degrees, which I think it is. I think it can be developed, but I think that it's a very painful thing to be developed because, as I said before, it involves self-doubt. Self-doubt is a painful experience. People that are very self-aware understand that what they're doing might not go the way that they think it's going to go. And that cripples a lot of people that are highly self-aware because they understand the complexity of what's going on. Whereas the person that is unself-aware doesn't understand their own inner complexity and thinks, this is a good idea. I'm going to go with this now. It's a very impulsive thing. They just do because it feels right, rather than reasoning through different things or having an understanding of this could do one of two things. So we also use the example. We discussed the example of chess. So like comparing someone that is unself-aware to being like a beginner who only thinks one move ahead. I'm going to take this. I'm moving my pawn here so I can take that knight. When they move. Versus someone that is a grandmaster in chess, who is sometimes thinking 7 to 14 moves ahead. I'm going to move my knight here because of here's all the possible situations, and I know this person. Most likely they use the London defense or whatever. No, whatever they'll use the London opening or something. You'll know that they're going to use a certain set of things, and you have an understanding of them and how the game works in order to think moves ahead. Whereas someone that's unself-aware only thinks now, just very immediate results rather than long-term results. And also we discussed the idea that and this entire time we're prefacing it with like, and here's an example of someone that I know that's very smart that did this, someone that's stupid that also shows high amounts of self-awareness, or what we call stupid, but they have an understanding of themselves and their situation. They might not be, a scientist or a professor, but they can navigate a social situation because they have an understanding of themselves and their place in that situation. Where someone that might be extremely smart or have high memory intelligence or logical intelligence still doesn't understand what they said at the party was uncouth. One of the things that we were talking about was the idea of a schema. So someone that is self-aware has the ability. So I'm going to first start with, for those that don't know what a schema is, it is, I'm going to butcher this, but it is accumulation of properties that we put like a name to a thing. So like when we say a dog, normally someone has in their mind what constitutes a dog. And it's like for those of us that picture things, it'll appear that way. Um, Forelegs, fur, snout, nose, and all those little different qualities come together and make the schema of dog. And then when you think dog breeds, you have all these different other little things of dog that come together to make different dog breeds, or make the whole, maybe, I guess, species, not species, whatever is above species, family tree, I guess, of dog. So our brain uses schema or schemas to make a shortcut for understanding, and this is where a lot of prejudice comes in. Because prejudice means to prejudge, to use stereotypes in your mind, shortcuts of, oh, an artist is someone that's messy, poor, and crazy, because that's like a trope that or a cliche of the poor starving artist, you know. And so when they meet someone that is organized, highly successful, and sane, they think, oh, this person's not really an art. They're not artistic because it doesn't fit the previous schema. Or if they say someone's like, oh, I'm an artist, you immediately think, oh, this person must be really poor because they're an artist. All artists are poor because they have this way of think. Yeah, it'd be a lot easier if we could draw this out. I wish I had a whiteboard or something. They have this connection to that word that connotates, if I'm using that word correctly, that artist has the quality of poor, disorganized, and all these other things, as well as creative and that. And that's why, like, when people encounter a different, like a minority, and they haven't encountered it before, they will use this schema, this stereotype that's in their head of, oh, this person, you're from this country, therefore you must, eat these foods, or you must have this accent, or you must like these things. No, I don't like that. I'm from this country, but that doesn't mean that I automatically do that thing or embody those qualities. But going back to what someone that is self-aware has a schema in their mind of a thing, and then when new information is presented to them that doesn't fit in the schema, they instead add that to the schema and enlarge their understanding of that thing. Someone that is unself-aware, when they are presented with new information that doesn't fit the schema already, they reject it. Because they're like, oh, that's not what it can't be that. So let's use the example that I was talking with my dad earlier. Let's use the schema of a chair. A self-aware person knows that a chair has a back, 4 legs, and it's a little platform. And then when they're presented with a chair that has just a pole in the middle and a little platform on the bottom and no back, or they see kind of like a stool-looking thing, they can think, oh, this is also a chair. And so they'll add that piece of information to their schema of chair. And then let's present that same situation to someone that has no self-awareness or low self-awareness. You give them the schema of a chair being 4 legs, platform at the back, and then when they're presented with something that has only one stand in the middle, a little platform, and no back, they'll say, that's not a chair. That can't be a chair because it doesn't fit my preconceived notion. It doesn't fit the model that I've already created. And so they'll reject that thing as being a chair when it, in fact, is a chair. So that also works with, I guess, the idea of cognitive dissonance. Anything that doesn't fit the already pre-programmed idea then gets rejected because it's too painful to integrate it and throw out the old model or create a new model. I haven't really done much painting because this is really just going to be the background, and I just need this to dry. But when it comes to building self-awareness, the first step is working on the ability to encounter things that are different than what you expect and integrate that knowledge into what you understand of that thing to be able to build new models. And that I believe can be worked at. Um, he and I kind of had a little differing opinion on this. So he was saying that maybe it could be that people that have low self-awareness, their brain has a propensity to be kind of like a read after something is written, like in like on CD, it's read only. If you remember those old CDs that were read only CDs, and then there was the ones that were RW read write CDs, where you could write new information on and read it off. I think there is an aspect of truth to that, but I think that since the brain is very plastic, it can be undone. You can, but it's difficult. But the more that you do it, the more that you try to rewrite your brain, the greater your ability will be to take older models and either toss them, add to them, or create new models to fit different things. And I find that just this the idea of self-awareness. What is it to be self-aware? So part of the ideas that we've already discussed is you have to have the ability to self-doubt, self-critique. You have to have awareness of what is going on around you, and you have to have um, understanding of causal relationships, and you have to have the ability to expand your schemas, the models that you use to understand the universe. Those are the four things that I think constitute self-awareness. And I've been rambling on about stuff that I don't really I have no training in, but this is just stuff I think about. And I wanted to share that with you because this is my art diary and it's a public diary. So I want to tell you my thoughts in the ways that I can. Anyway, so if you've gotten this far, drop a little orange down in the comments. Lets me know who watched this far and who gives a shit. I'm gonna have to peace out. I have shit to do, and this is gonna have to dry. But I would like to encourage you to question your own self-awareness, because we all have moments where we are not self-aware, where we go into our autopilot. We're not mindful of our actions or the situation that's going on. And I think mindfulness meditation can help with that. That is one of the ways that you can do that. But take time to introspect and think about the times that you weren't self-aware. Question yourself. Are you self-aware? Am I self-aware? I don't know. I think I'm self-aware. So did everybody else that was in that study that wasn't self-aware. And if you are self-aware, doesn't make you a better person. Doesn't mean you're superior about anything. It just means that you're just aware of yourself. Who gives a shit? I just think it's just a fascinating subject. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.